Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know who I am, hi, hello, my name is Brianna, and today...
I was trying to showcase you.
Today we have a very special guest, and it is my husband, Christopher.
Mr. Brianna's Bookshelves.
Yep, that's what he goes by.
Proud of it.
And today, for this week's video, since it is our 5-year anniversary coming up this week, I thought it would be fun to have him choose the books that I read this week. I don't know what else I was going to say.
I'm excited to be of use. Hopefully I pick out something good.
So let's just get into him choosing the first book that I'm going to read this week. I don't know, you might get like 3 or 4 books depending on how it goes. Okay. Depending on how fast I can read.
Okay.
You might get 4 books, but it might only be 3, so choose wisely.
Okay. I have 2 in mind already, I think.
I did have to set some ground rules because one of the things I talked about was not wanting to start another fantasy series without finishing the one I'm already in the middle of.
And I want her to read Mistborn, so...
But he can't choose that because I'm in the middle of a fantasy series already.
Fine.
So he knows the ground rules. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Are you nervous? Are you excited? How are you feeling?
I feel pretty confident, honestly.
Okay.
I think as long as one that I have in mind isn't a series, I feel pretty good. And then the other one, I know, at least I'm pretty sure, isn't a series that I don't know if you're going to see coming, but it's also going to make sense when I think you see it where I'm coming from.
Okay. I'm nervous. I feel like you're gonna just choose fantasy books, and I'm gonna have a fantasy-filled week.
I am a fantasy fan, so, but I'll show you.
Let's just get to choosing.
All right, so what I wanted to ask, because it's a book that I wasn't sure is a series or not, I think you're already gonna see where I'm going with this, because it has a George R.R. Martin.
That is a series.
It is a series?
Yes, I told you that. I've told you that multiple times that that's a series.
That's a bummer because I thought this Assassin's Apprentice at least looked interesting. So that's kind of where, I think George R.R. Martin having a comment on it is what really grabbed me. I'm a Game of Thrones fan. I started the first book a couple years ago. I never got around to finishing it.
How are you a fan then?
Because I like the TV show, at least a little. But I'll put this away then because I have my backup. And you were thinking I'm going to go entirely fantasy. But I was actually looking at tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Okay, that's a good one.
See, I wanted to mix it up from all all fantasy. What we've been doing recently is playing a couple of games where Brie likes to watch and we both follow the story. And so since this one's about video games and stuff like that, maybe it'll kind of help connect that for her, I think, almost, as well as...
Wow, I'm impressed that you know what it's about.
Well, you told me a couple months ago or however long ago you picked this up.
I think in the summer.
Yeah, I think it's almost been a year.
Right after we got married.
Yeah, and then you've had the tote bag for this as well.
Yep.
So I put some thought into this and I remembered somewhat what it was about, and so I'm excited to hopefully have that kind of connect in your life and maybe relate to it.
Another reason why I think it's interesting you chose this one is because I wanted to read this in March. I don't know, just the cover I feel like kind of gives spring vibes. Maybe just the colors and the blue. I don't know, it just gives spring to me. So I wanted to read it in March, but I didn't end up choosing it for a TBR jar prompt that I got, so I didn't choose it for my March TBR. So I'm excited you chose this one because I definitely had some books in mind that I was like, I hope he picks that, but it's okay if he doesn't. So I'm excited for this one. I think it'll be cute.
I had a feeling this was going to be a good pick.
I think there's some romance in it because the couple is making this video game together, and then the video game gets adapted into a movie or something. I don't know, but that's his dream to make his own video game. So if I like it, maybe you'll want to read it.
Maybe. I think that if you like it, because obviously I'm a big nerd, and just that we've been recently kind of sharing some video games of just stories I've gotten her to watch for the gamers out there. The Last of Us and Silent Hill 2 we just recently went through. So,
and Until Dawn.
And those are starting to get TV show and movie adaptations. And so I think it's going to be kind of interesting to tie those two together with maybe this kind of book.
There's so many stickers I need to take off there.
I know.
Barnes & Noble really loaded it up.
This is disgusting.
Yeah, gross.
So.
Okay.
First book.
I'm gonna get to reading. Thank you. Hello everyone. It's been a few days since I talked to you, since I started this video with my husband. I think that was on Saturday and today is Monday. I think it was on Saturday. I don't know. I was telling my husband last night, I was like, man, I feel like I just don't get anything accomplished during the weekend. Like, I try to do all this work, I try to get reading in and like vlogging in and recording videos and editing and all this stuff in, and I just like never get to it because I'm spending so much more time with you instead, and I just hate not getting work accomplished during the weekend. And he was like, it's called the weekend for a reason. Like, you're not supposed to work. You're already doing all of this and more during the week. So the weekend is supposed to be your break. And I was just like, I guess the grind never stops for me. So I really did not end up getting too far into tomorrow within the last few days. I am on page 102 and it's chapter 5 of like the influences section of the book, because there's multiple sections, and then once you get to a new section you like start over with chapter numbers. So chapter 5, I think it's the second section of the book, and it is about Sam and Sadie, who they're kind of like childhood friends. Sadie's older sister was in the hospital with cancer, and she was there visiting her sister a lot. And then Sam was in a really terrible accident, so he had to like have these surgeries all the time. So she met Sam while they were both in the hospital, and they bonded over playing Mario together. And then they talk about all these other video games all the time because they're both super into playing video games. I think it was like either the late 80s or early 90s where they kind of met, and like when they were kids. But now we're kind of following them as they are college students, and they are trying to make this video game together because Sadie has already made a video game and she let Sam try it out and he loved it. So after that, he was like, I want to make a video game together with Sadie. So that's basically where we're at right now. Like, that is all that's really happening. You see their past, you see both of their individual lives a little bit. Like during the times where they weren't really talking, from like, 10 to 12 years old until they're now like 20 years old at college when they kind of cross paths again. It feels very familiar, like the writing style, Gabrielle Zevin. This is my first novel by her. And yeah, her writing is just really reminding me of another author's writing, but I can't like pinpoint what author it is. And it's kind of bothering me that I can't figure it out and place it, because I'm like, this just feels so similar. I will say, like, her writing feels very, very sophisticated. It almost reads like, I don't know, like an academia book in some way, but it is just supposed to be like literary fiction, I think. I don't know, I think there might be some romance with Sam and Sadie at some point, but as of right now, there hasn't really been any, just friendship, which is also cool. I'm liking it. I will say it's a little slow. I would like more things to be happening sooner and quicker than they have been, but it's not bad. I also think it's so interesting. Like, they talk about so many video games, and I know of these video games from my husband, and my husband only, because he has talked about them and he just talked about how much they love them. Like, they were talking about, I think Metal Gear Solid in this book, and it was something along the lines like Metal Gear Solid was actually the third Metal Gear game, but because it's a Japanese game, I think, and it didn't take off well in the United States for the first two games, so they're just gonna rebrand the third one as Metal Gear Solid. So now you have like Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3. So I was telling my husband about that. I was like, did you know that? Because I've heard him talk about this game, obviously, but I didn't realize that Metal Gear Solid was actually like a sequel to the other Metal Gear games. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, that's what it says in the book. So clearly he did not know that either. So I think that was really interesting. So far, just based on like them talking about building the video games, because my husband is a computer, why was I gonna say computer finance? He has a degree in computer science. He loves video games. He just is into that nerdy stuff, and they're talking about programming languages and all this stuff that I know for a fact he knows how to do, and it is like his dream one day, like ever since he was a kid, it was his dream to make a video game one day. And I was like, I feel like he would love reading about this just because it's talking about all these old games and that nostalgia that he would have, but it's also talking about how they're making the video game, not like in depth, of course, but like talking about what engine they're using and if they're building their own engine and like how they're programming it and coding it. And it's really interesting, but like for him, he would nerd out because he knows exactly what they're talking about. And for me, I'm just like, okay, that's cool, but like it goes right over my head because I know nothing about it. So I really think he would enjoy this video game, not video game, this book. And honestly, I feel like it could inspire him to make his own video game. I mean, we'll see how their game turns out and like if it goes well, because maybe if it doesn't go well, that wouldn't be very encouraging for him. But we shall see. I want my husband to achieve his hopes and dreams. That's my little update. I do think it's cool. There's just like not too much else happening right now yet. I'm gonna try and keep reading for a little bit more today, but I also have a lot of things to take care of because it is our 5-year anniversary later this week, and I want to make us like a really nice dinner and really nice dessert for later this week to celebrate. So I gotta get stuff done for that tonight and just like prepared because the next 2 days before our anniversary, I'm gonna be super busy and probably not gonna have a lot of time to do anything else other than like read at night when I get home. But I'll update you. So far, he chose a good one. Definitely on par for him and his personality. Okay, guys, I finished Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and I was not expecting this book to like hit me the way that it did, because you just continue to follow Sadie and then Sam as they're working on this video game together and kind of what comes from that, and they're growing careers. And there is another character, well, there's several more characters introduced, but one prominent character, Marks, and he kind of becomes the trio to their duo that they were having before. And I just think he was like such a great addition to the team because he is like so level-headed, and Sadie and Sam like butt heads all the time. They honestly, it reminds me of a sibling relationship because you're just so annoyed with the person all the time, but like at the end of the day, you still love them and care about them. But Sadie and Sam are really only like, what is the right word? I don't know, but like partners for their careers, never in a romantic way, which I thought that they were going to have some sort of romantic relationship. That is not the case. There is a romantic relationship with Sadie and another character that is kind of a big deal in the book, but I won't really touch on that because obviously it would be a spoiler, but it was really sweet in my opinion. And as someone who didn't really like Sam or Sadie the most, I feel like they're both just not great characters. I will say they definitely have character growth and development throughout the book. I definitely like Sadie more than I like Sam. I don't know. Sam, just don't like some things that he does and some things that he says. And then Sadie, I think she thinks very, very highly of herself, and yeah, she is just also kind of annoying at times. And then Marks is the character just to like level them all out. I love him. Like I never found annoying. I was just like, I love Marks every single step of the way. So he was definitely a character that we needed. I did shed a few tears later on in the book. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting this book to make me emotional, but you know what, it did. Whenever something that happens to one of the characters happens in a book, it always gets me because it makes me think about my husband, and it just makes me sad and upset and cry most of the time. And yeah, that happened while I was reading this one. Again, like I was saying yesterday, I just think it is so cool them talking about making video games. It gets to like the early 2000s, late 2000s, maybe early 2010s. I'm not sure the exact timeline of the book. But definitely talking about more games that were coming out. I feel like there's definitely more mentioned that my husband would know, and just how they're making these games and how messy and dramatic Sam and Sadie's relationship is through these years and years and years of making these games together and having this career together and everything else that it entails, how every single decision leads to an impactful moment. And it's kind of like a game where you can make all these different choices, and every different choice will obviously lead to something different. And all the characters kind of like come to that realization. They're like, our life is just a game. I love the friendship. I love kind of the found family. I really like the writing style. I still haven't figured out like what it reminds me of, but I do really like the writing. I will say at some points I was a little bit bored, and I was maybe like a little bit confused about what was happening, especially at like one of the later parts. I did not realize what was happening for so long, and that is kind of embarrassing, but eventually I caught on. But Christopher, what are you doing?
Laying down.
Oh, do you want to guess my rating for tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow?
I don't know. I mean, you're not the biggest nerd. I'm gonna say 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I gave it a 4-star rating. It was really, really good. I feel like I got through it pretty quickly. I got over half of it read today, so we could definitely read it in a few days. And now he is gonna have to choose me another book to read. He's looking at the well, that is the that's my March TBR.
The March TBR.
And then this is just like more fantasy TBR.
Fantasy TBR.
Yep.
Okay.
And then of course we have my other TBR over here.
I'm not really going in with a whole lot of thought here.
Okay.
Although, I mean, I did see a book on here that spoke out to me, I suppose.
Oh gosh, he's getting down on one knee.
It's down here. And this is at least what I saw, just something that caught my eye. No idea what this is about or what it is, but like I said, eye grabbing and holds my attention, so.
That's your choice?
I think this is going to be my choice.
I think it's just a YA fantasy.
There you go.
I don't know.
All right, we'll find out.
Hello, everyone. It is... Wait, when did you see me last? I don't remember exactly, but yesterday I started This Dark Paradise. I think it was the night before. My husband chose this one for me. And this is like a YA dark fantasy. I started it yesterday, didn't give you an update. My bad. So I wanted to give you a quick update today before I finish it, because this is all I have left. I'm on page like 230 something. Yeah. And I think it's roughly 350 pages, maybe a little under. So I just have about 100-ish more pages to read today. So should get it done super fast since it is YA. It is pretty easy to read, like quick and easy, because it's young adult, like kind of has to be. Drink break. But this is about Lucia, and she is kind of like the provider for her family. Like, her mom works as well, but Lucia is always doing, like, these odd jobs. And to be honest, she's a little bit of a thief. And then she, like, steals things that... Or she sells things that she steals to make money for her family because she has a younger brother. And she just really wants her brother to be, like, the successful person from her family because her mom isn't, she isn't. So she's doing everything she can for her brother's life and for her little brother to not have such a hard life that she has. So one of these jobs she wants to do is to be like a tour guide for these rich people that go to this island, and it's like an enchanted magical island, and Lucia has magic, So she would be like a good tour guide because you need to have magic if you're going to be a tour guide for this magical island. But the company, whatever it's called, the guy, I don't remember his name. I don't know. She was like dating a guy who basically has an inn to be a tour guide for this island. But he's like, I love you, Lucia, and it's way too dangerous. So like, no, I don't want you to be a tour guide. And he basically like sabotages her chances to be a tour guide for this island. So she's not happy with him about that. She basically broke up with him. And now months later, she's seeing him again because she is going to do whatever she can to be a tour guide for this very wealthy couple on the island so she can make a lot of money so that her brother doesn't have to do any of this like bad work that she and her mom have to do. So after kind of deceiving that guy, again, do not remember his name whatsoever, that's my bad, she is now on this enchanted island. What is it called? Esterala. And once she gets there, it's not like all fine and dandy. Oh, I should also say that aside from like getting paid a lot of money for this gig, she also has ulterior motives on this island because she has magic and supposedly the source of the magic is there at the island. She just doesn't know where on the island. So she's trying to find that throughout, and it's really interesting. I think something to do with her dad and like why her dad left and abandoned them has to do with this source of magic. So she's like, I need to find the source of magic. Like that's what my dad was trying to do. So I need to do that. But once she gets to the island, there are just weird things happening. Dark, scary things. I was gonna say I touched on this yesterday. No, I literally didn't talk about it yesterday. I thought this yesterday though. And I feel like there's some thriller or horror-y aspects to the book. But I don't know if it's just like dark fantasy, but it's definitely a little creepy, definitely some spooky vibes happening on the island. So I don't really know if it would be categorized as like thriller or horror per se and not just dark fantasy, but I feel like there are some aspects to it, and maybe I'm just not used to reading anything like that in fantasies really, but I feel like it's probably one of the scariest YA fantasies I've read, at least, just with the things happening. She's meeting some other people on the island who are kind of helping her to be able to find the source. It's definitely really interesting. I am glad that he chose this book for me because it's been on my TBR probably since like September or August, because this is the arc and this book came out in October, I think. So I've definitely had it for a hot minute. And I feel like this book just has not really been talked about at all. Like I went to update my progress on Goodreads and there are only, I think, 50 some ratings on it. And I'm like, that's kind of crazy because this is a Bloomsbury published book. So I'm like, that's interesting that Bloomsbury wouldn't market this more and try to get it to sell more. So obviously I'll let you know my final thoughts when I finish it. But as of right now, I do think it's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. At some points, I won't lie, I just didn't really care what was happening because I was like, I feel like this is not helping us reach our goal here, what we're doing right now. There's a little bit of a love triangle, and it is a bisexual love triangle because Lucia was with the boat guy that was basically like screwing her out of getting this job. So that's like her ex-boyfriend. And then on the island, there is, I don't know how old she is, but she also has magic, and she's going to be like one of these, what they call vessels of the island, and they're just like really powerful magic beings on the island that literally don't have a face, let me say. Like it's, I don't even know how to really describe this, but basically like imagine me with nothing else on my face other than the skin. So like no eyeballs, no mouth, no nose, it's just skin, and like it doesn't move when they talk. It's just kind of creepy. So she's kind of interested in her, I think, but I don't know. I wouldn't, it says this is the perfect dark YA fantasy with a bisexual love triangle, but it's like, I'm not really feeling any romantic things between Lucia and then I think her name is Callista, and there's only like 100 pages left. So I don't know what's all going to transpire there, but I feel like I've been talking forever. So I'm gonna try and finish this up quick. Alrighty guys, I have finished This Dark Paradise. my laundry's done. Just took me probably like another hour to finish the last 100 and some pages. And things definitely get a lot more high stakes toward the end. There is a little bit more romance throughout, but I definitely wouldn't say it's like a fantasy romance. It is definitely like a higher stakes dark fantasy for sure. So I really liked how Lucia was kind of like discovering the mysteries around this island and around the magic and like the magic that pertains to her that she has and these bad things around it and her trying to hunt down the source of this magic still and making some friends along the way who are trying to help her. I definitely felt like it was very refreshing because I haven't read that many fantasies that don't really have romance in them, and I just thought it was a nice change of pace to read a fantasy where there is like this heist and this mission going on, and they're strictly working toward that mission, and like if there's a little romance thrown in there along the way, okay, but you're not like focused on the romance, and that's not like a huge part of the book. I feel like the end of this book though does have kind of like a microtrope that people don't really love. But in this case, I did not mind it happening whatsoever. With all this stuff being said, though, I will say I was a bit bored at some points, and I just felt like I didn't really care. I kind of touched on this earlier, but there were just some points where I felt like I didn't really care about what Lucia was doing because it didn't really have to do with finding the source and tracking it down. But overall, it's a really quick-paced, high-stakes YA fantasy. And if you're looking for something like that, I would definitely recommend giving this one a shot. I am gonna go with, I think, a 3.5-star rating, so it was pretty good. I definitely enjoyed reading it. And when my husband gets home from work, I will have him guess what I rated this, and then he is also going to have to choose us our last book to read in this video. So far, he's done a pretty good job. I mean, I really love Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And like I said, this one was just kind of a refreshing fantasy read and one that I needed to get off my TBR. So I will be back with my husband.
Ah! What is happening?
Christopher!
That better make it in the cut.
Runty!
That was cute.
What are you doing, baby? Okay, so I finished this Dark Paradise earlier today.
Okay.
What do you think I rated it?
Just because, I don't know, like I said before, I think the cover was very attention grabbing, but I'm getting maybe a 3.5.
That is what I gave it.
Oh, I'm on a roll.
You're nailing it. You're doing so much better than the last time we did this video. And you're also choosing like better books. Like this was pretty good.
Okay.
I just feel like there were some elements that I was like, eh. I like your shirt. Who got it for you?
The best wife in the galaxy.
So now it is time for you to choose my last book for this video.
Okay.
Oh, he's on his knees again, guys.
Hey, I'm just trying to get a good look. I had preparations in mind. The Tomorrow one, that one was just spur of the moment.
Okay.
But then the second book, what was it again? The Dark Paradise?
Yeah.
That one like caught my eye when I was looking at the Tomorrow, and I was like, okay.
I wonder what you're gonna choose, because you chose like one kind of literary fiction, and now you chose a fantasy. So I'm like, what is he gonna choose for the last one?
First thing I saw right now is A Fragile Enchantment, but I'm getting a fantasy
It
vibe.
is fantasy.
And, excuse me, I don't know if I want to double up on that, because I made you read a fantasy already. And because also it's the day of our 5-year anniversary of dating together.
Yeah.
I feel like it's appropriate to find something more, what am I looking
Like a
for?
romance?
Romancy, and yeah.
So romance is gonna be like on these top 2 shelves here, basically.
Kind of picking up on that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So many choices. You have so many books.
Hey, I'm getting down there though.
You're working on it. You're just lucky I don't pick like A Tale of Two Cities. This is
I was
like one of the
actually
first
thinking
books.
about bringing that to Hawaii
Wow.
to like read on the plane. I don't know.
Okay. I better at least just view all my options. I have one in mind right now.
A romance?
A romance.
Oh, I wonder what one it is. Is it one I've talked about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I did see a second one, but it's not Halloween or anywhere near
Oh.
fall
Okay.
because the fake mate
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go something pretty fitting here, I think. And it's gonna be
Ooh,
Book Boyfriend.
Book Boyfriend. I'm excited for this one. This one is about like the couple. I think they're like rivals at work. Like they don't really get along, like they're nemesis.
Yeah.
But they're both into the same fantasy series, so when they see each other at like this event for the fantasy series, they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And then that's
They
like,
hit it off.
yeah, that's how they bond.
Wow. Okay. See, I like that. It's
So I've
like
been excited for that one, but
not at all the same situation, but that just like reminds me of when we went to the Renaissance Festival for the first time together.
yeah.
So exciting.
Okay. Hello, I am back a few days later, a few days after my husband picked out Book Boyfriend for me to start. Don't mind my beautiful appearance. It's been a very long last few days, and today I'm not feeling very well. So it's just been a no get ready, just like trying to chill day without really chilling. And I started Book Boyfriend yesterday, and I got maybe like 30 pages in. Because there was just things that came up yesterday. But today I have been reading for a little bit, and I'm on chapter 18, page 140. And I am so bored. Like, the amount of times I have thought about DNFing this book just in the first 140 pages is actually crazy, because it is so boring, and it's kind of cringy to me, honestly. I'll get into like what the book is about and everything. I just do not really like the characters, either of them. I really don't like the mailman character so far. I'm sure he'll get better as we go on, because he is kind of like trying to develop his character a little bit. Sorry, my husband's hacking a lung out in the background. And then the female main character, I'm just like, I don't care about you whatsoever. Like, literally do not care about anything happening in this book. I'm just so bored. It is just dragging along, and it's a snooze fest, honestly, which I feel like these authors, their books kind of are for me. The Roughest Draft I didn't love it, and then the Breakup Tour also, like, definitely liked less than the Roughest Draft, but this one so far is definitely my least favorite, and that is so disappointing, because I was so excited for this book. Basically, it's about Jennifer and Scott. They are kind of these enemies, I will say, even though I'm like, okay, in a romance book, how it's not like real enemies, it's just you dislike each other. So they work together in publishing, but they dislike each other, do not get along whatsoever, and they end up meeting at this Elysium. I don't know, it's kind of like an immersive world thing, like an immersive event for this fantasy book series that Jennifer loves, and then Scott is kind of reading the series and like at this immersive event to try and like become book boyfriend material, see what all these women rave about all the time, and just try to become a better boyfriend in general, because he has not had luck with love, and then Jennifer also has not really had luck with love because she loves reading so much, and her boyfriends are just like, okay, that's super unrealistic to be like expecting things from your books, which I don't think it is, but Jennifer's way of like going about it, I don't know. But this whole like immersive event, it's like a whole week-long event. Basically think the Renaissance Fair, where everyone is like staying in character, which is like super fun to make a day out of, but this event is a whole week. And I just think it's really cringy, not like staying in character and stuff. I feel like the Renaissance Fair and stuff like that is fun. But what I think is cringy is that in this event, there is like this contest of a sort. I've been looking at it like a scavenger hunt. And if you win that scavenger hunt, you get to like have a date with the cosplay person of the like male main character of the fantasy series that this event is about. And all these women are like going feral to have this date with this cosplayer. And it's like, I don't like that, because they are literally calling him like his fantasy book name, which, okay, I get it, staying in character and everything, but they're literally treating him like he's just a character and not like he's an actual human being. And that is what irks me. So really disliking that, and that is what I find cringy about the book. But Jennifer and Scott keep on running into each other at this event, and they're kind of like, we should maybe work together. We should try and like get along a little bit better. And that is kind of what the book is about. But yeah, I'm just having not a fun time. Again, think it's very, very boring and cringy. I don't know. The way these grown women are behaving is concerning for me. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it, you guys. I'm gonna finish it. I gotta finish it. My husband picked it out for me to read. I'm gonna finish it. But I genuinely just do not care about the characters whatsoever. And I don't care about what they're doing. Sorry. I'll see you in a minute. I did it. I finished Book Boyfriend. Took a lot out of me, to be honest, and Christopher was literally like, why don't you just DNF it if you're not enjoying it and it's so cringy? Because I told him what was happening and he was like, that sounds terrible. And I was like, yeah, it is. He was like, just DNF it, I don't care. And I was like, I myself can't like bring myself to DNF it, but I would. Like if this was just a book that I picked up for myself to read and wasn't really filming a video on it or anything, I definitely would have DNF'd it. But because he picked it out for me and because I did want to like give you guys my overall thoughts and give it a shot, I decided to finish it. Do I regret wasting the time reading this book? Yes. It was just not good, you guys. I liked with Jennifer and Scott as they were working together more and just like learning more things about each other, how their relationship kind of evolved, how they became like alliances, and it was like enemies to alliances to lovers kind of. And I did like the ending, like what overall happens with Scott and Jennifer. Do I like anything else? Not really. I do like the idea. I think it's fun, like when people go to these events and bookish things, or it doesn't even have to be a bookish thing, but just like, I don't know, Comic-Con? Is that where they do like cosplaying things? Like that is fun. If that's what you're into and that's what you enjoy, that is so fun and I love that for you. But just like the dialogue and what was happening in this book did not like whatsoever. I also feel like it's so insta-lovey, even though Jennifer and Scott have known each other for like a year. Once they actually sit down and talk one time, it's like they instantly fall in love with each other. Like, what is this? Love is Blind? Because they're talking as these characters and not seeing like their true selves, and it's like, why are you saying I'm not gonna get into it. I don't know what I'm gonna rate this, honestly. I'm between two ratings. You can probably guess what they are, but I just haven't really decided yet, I guess, because it's not the worst book I've ever read. It wasn't the most boring thing I've ever read. It is very, very fast paced. Like you can get through it so quickly. I just didn't like what was actually happening within the story, and that's a me thing. So that's why it's like, I don't know. Should I have Christopher come and guess my rating first before I tell you anymore? Maybe. I'll wait until he's ready and then I'll have him come in and guess my rating. And while I'm waiting for him, I will just give you a little recap of the other books that I read in today's video. So first, I started out with Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I ended up loving this one, you guys. I think this was the perfect book for my husband to pick because it does have to do with some very nerdy people, like computer nerds, making video games together, and just how messy their relationship can be and how messy it can be for them working on these games together for years and years and years of their lives. I really enjoyed this one though. I would definitely recommend this one. And then we have This Dark Paradise. I was not expecting him to pick this one whatsoever, but I'm very glad he did, just because for one, it is an arc, and then for two, I have had it for months, so I'm glad to have it off my TBR, and I did enjoy it. It was a fun YA fantasy, kind of dark horror fantasy in a way. Definitely one of the like more higher stakes fantasy with less romance that I have read in a hot minute, so I really appreciated that. So this is another one that I would definitely recommend picking up if it sounds interesting to you. And now that brings us to Book Boyfriend. Okay, it has actually been a few hours, so I've been able to sit on my thoughts on Book Boyfriend a little bit more and come up with my overall rating. So what do you think I rated Book Boyfriend?
I'm gonna go. You were telling me that this book was not very good. I'm sitting between 1 and 2 stars, so I'll say a 1.5.
I actually gave it a 2.
Okay, okay. My gut told me 2, but I was like, no, she was really complaining about this book. It's gotta be like a 1
Which
or a 1.5.
I was between 1.5 and 2. So,
Okay.
But I ultimately went with 2. So you guessed all of these ratings correctly this time.
Okay.
And, you know, I will not fault you for picking this book because I would have picked this book up myself, like, probably sometime soon. I really wanted to read this book, and it just was not good. Did not live up to expectations. But thank you so much for picking my books this video. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Make sure to like and subscribe. Please comment any videos you'd like to see from me in the future, and I'll see you next time. Bye!